Well, this is Baruch Fleischman at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and today is the 6th day of the week. It is the Yesod of Parshas Miketz. Miketz means the end, so here we are at the day of Yesod, which is right at the end, and we're on page, give me baby to me, here we go, Reish Samach Vav, but we're going to be at the bottom. Or is that where we're going to be? No, right in the middle. So let's see if we can understand the Zohar, and there's a pasuk that we want to look at a little bit later, see if we can understand it. It says a boker or the morning light came, and then the Noshim were, so the men, that is the tribes, were sent out, they and their donkeys. It's an obvious question. If you know about them, what do you need to know about their donkeys for? Rebbe Elazar Amar Hoho is the istakla, but we need to look at this. If you say that they were sent out and they went out, then what do we need to know about their donkeys for? Why do we need both them and their donkeys? So because if they're certain went out, certainly their donkeys, what they were riding on, now, I'm thinking that the donkeys are really mostly for carrying burdens. But I also noticed, and I just want to throw this out as I was thinking about this, is that the word chamar without the vav is the number 248, which is their mitzvahs. So I'm not sure if that works. If you could say that they're what they're worried about is their chamor, which is the concept of their mitzvahs and their Torah, that they're going to lose that, maybe that would work. Because they had said previously, because they were worried, that they would suspect them, Shehem Ganavim, that in fact that they are thieves, Sha'az Rakusham Lamelach, because and then if that's the case, everything that they have stolen, everything they got together, everything is hefker, it's abandoned to the king. It began kacha for this reason. The Torah writes, "V'hanashim shulchu chemba v'chamarehem pirish shamitzrim shulchu osam im kol rakusham." He sent them off with all of their valuables. It's not like they were under suspicion. Begin to lo yishta'aracham inin v'chamarechem g'deka amro. K'lo yishta'aracham b'lohem v'lochamarechem, so that they did not stay behind, neither did their possessions stay behind, v'lochamo shehem amro, not like they had suspected. So the Zohar goes on, the pasuk Rebbe Elazar began, and he said like this, v'amar, v'yashkem Avraham v'voka b'yachavoshas chamaro, and he saddled up his donkey. Haku boker to Avraham. This is the morning. What morning? Morning of Avraham. Avraham is what? Avraham is Chesed. Zecha Chesed adikra boker shel Avraham. This Chesed, this morning came, is the concept of light, the appearance of light, the first appearance of light. V'hav nakir l'kayim b'chabelacha b'schulse. Choyu meir la'amod v'lahagen aleichem. So this light, this Chesed of Avraham, it's shown on them to protect them along their way. B'schulse shel Avraham, in the merit of Avraham, she'akar es Yitzchak b'no. Excuse me, I read that wrong. She'aked, who bound Yitzchak, he was willing to sacrifice his son, but in that schulz, they were able to leave in peace. So therefore, the merit of Avraham came, and it stood by them. And they went in peace, and they were saved from any harsher dinim. They didn't take down other things. And they were saved from being punished. They got away from Mitzrayim. Benjamin was with them. Begin the haki shata chabakaima galaychu dinner is parachaminaichu. So look, the word lisparoa also has the word paro in it. Because he said, begin the haku shata, at that moment, kaima galaychu, they were standing before them, dina, there was a din. In other words, they were in the presence of a sphere din coming, this rapam minaichu, to pay them back. The midah of din, that is, the left side of Zer Anpin, was poised, lehipara mehem, as avon bechiris Yosef, and to pay them back for the selling of their brother. Bar the schusa dahachu boker da Abraham agim alaychu v'ishtadluchu b'min dina, the lo shalat alaychu b'hachu zimna. Ella, but rather, shall vayashkem Abraham v'voker, that thought, let Abraham, it's a little difficult to hear this exactly. The Chesed of Avraham was so great that he got up early in the morning on the day that he was going to sacrifice his son. So he says, sowed his odorless chesed, which is the arousal of chesed, hagina aleichem, which protected them, was a shield for them, so they worked in the morning. They made their effort in the morning, and as a result of that, the shtadlus of this chesed of Avraham Aveinu that he did, Shelo shalet aleichem ba'oz ha'zman, that had no schos, that had no, control over them at that time. About zman nesarach aruge malchus, he just throws in on the side the time of the 10 tzaddikim who were killed by the Romans, the aruge malchus. Shalta aleichem midas adin. Then the midas adin was in control of them. Now we're going to cut them over, and we're going to take a look at this pasuk. And let me give me a second to find this pasuk. This pasuk is in. Let's see, where is it? Well, I guess that's the one in Shmuel base. It's not the one I was thinking. Pirush pasuk, I'll move it all on. So he says this is the pasuk that we're going to see. K'or bocher yisrak shemesh, and like the light of the morning, the sun will shine. Kasheroim or haboker meir bepas mizrach. So in the eastern side, you begin to see the light of the sun start to come up. Hu simen shor mat yizrach hashemesh, the old mat. It's a sign that you will actually see the sun in a few minutes. Boker lo avos. So let me go on and bring you over here. We're in the art scroll. I call it the art scroll. Shmuel base. We're on number 4. This is the pasuk that the Zohar wants to talk about. It says, like the morning light when the sun shines. So he means the light before the sun, according to the matuk. And then the sun comes. A morning without clouds, like a morning without clouds, just pure light. From the shine out of the rain, and also from the illumination that comes along with rain. Grass spouts forth from the earth. Now, what does this pasuk have to do with Parshas Miketz? The fact that the brothers are leaving. So let's look over here and let's see what the Matuk Medavash says. A pirush of pasuk amuvil halam ka'or boker yizrach shemesh. So we talked about the beautiful morning light before the sun shines. Kasheroim or boker, when you see the morning light, when you see it meir shine, bepas mizrach, on the eastern side. Who simen sha'od mat yizrach hashemesh. It's an announcement. It's a sign that in a little while, a short time, the sun will start to shine. It says, a boker lo avos. It is a morning without clouds. Aval rak kasheor haboker ein ma'unan, when it's not covered over by clouds, ba'avim, az hu simen lezrichus hashemesh. So there's no clouds, then it's a sign that the sun is coming. Menegva menaga memata desha be'aretz, and it causes to flow down. Noga, it shines Hashemesh, the sun shines. And then he has this concept here, Umata Hashemayim, and then the rain of the heaven, Shneichem Yachad. So in other words, you have a morning where the sun comes up, it's clear in the eastern horizon. But it seems to me like he's saying at the same time it's raining. So as the sun and the rain are going together. The rain comes from the Shemayim. We saw in our shir on the Idrizuta that the Shemayim is another word for Zeranpin, so is sun. So he says, Noger Hashemet b'matach Shemayim, Shneichem Yachad Heim Siba l'chatzmich Deshem min haaretz. The two of them together are a reason why for the growth of plant life from the earth. That is the sun and rain They both come from the same place. So let me see what we can get out of the Zohar itself. That's a little background. That's kind of an unusual pasuk. It says the Zohar says Rabbi Yehuda pasuk the Farish Mashakah says, so Rabbi Yehuda began to explain this which was written. Ge'or haboker yizrach shemesh, and like the morning light, that's when the sun will shine. So now he says Pirusho Dohu Nohora Dahahu Boker da Avraham. It's really speaking about that Boker of Avraham, which is what Zehu Or HaBoker Shel Avraham. Ritzon Lomer Hei Chasadim. Now inside of he's going to explain Hei Chasadim Shabam Yesod De'ima Lasakin Ezer Anpen. So we have the concept in the Das Ezer Anpen coming from the Yesod of Ima, or 5 Chasadim and 5 Gevuros. Here we're talking about the 5 Chasadim. The 5 Chesadim are known as the Mayim, the water, Hamagdil Esa'ilon, that grows the tree, which is Eranpin. These are strict, I don't know what we would say what these are, catalytic elements, but these Chesadim, Chesed of Avraham Aveinu, that's a chod. These 5 Chesadim grows Eranpin. The Zesha cost of or Haboker, and that's what it means when it says, like the morning light. Kishayir Aboker, when the morning light starts to shine, Shehem Chasadim De'ima, which now refers to the Chasadim that are pouring to Zer Anpen from his Chazad. That's where the Yesod of Ima stops, at the Chazad of Zer Anpen, and pours out these Chasadim, and also the Gevuros. Oz Yizrach HaShemesh Pira, then, when these Chasadim pour out, the sun shines. Dalhu Shimsha de Yaakov, and what does it mean? It means the son of Yaakov. Zecha V'Shimsho Shal Yaakov. Shehuzer Anpen. Now, there's a lot of different metaphors, and we have also a Yaakov and Rachel, which is a subset of Zer Anpen and Malchus. But here in this case, he means Zer Anpen is Yaakov. Yaakov as Zer Anpen, Shevazechu Shimsho Shal Yaakov Shehu Zer Anpen, and he says, what does this mean? Ratzon Lomar. She'az Yizrach V'Yair Zer Anpen, so then you'll see that it'll shine. And we'll go on, because in other words, he's going to continue to grow. And he grows because of the Chesadim. That's the Boker we're talking about. For Omar, Kibezer Anpen, Hanikra Yaakov, we're calling him Yaakov here, Nizkeres Richas Hashemesh. In regards to him, we have the concept that is mentioned, the signing of the sun, and he brings this pasuk, Dersev Yaakov Yizrach Lo Hashemesh, and the sun shone on him. And what he means to say is that Yaakov, in the concept of Zeranpin, he's able to shine through the chesadim that he gets from Ima. Boker lo avos, a morning when there's no clouds. Boker lo iku avos kol kach. She'osa or haboker. So now we're talking about this light of this light of the morning. Shuha Chesed, which comes along, which is another sign of Chesed, the Chesed of Avraham. Ein bo obvious kolkach. It's not so thick. What does that mean? So it means to say that time there is a thickness that comes as a result of din. That din is still not present so much. Not like the din that is like the essence of Gevurah, which is a punishing din. Ella menoga b'matar. Ella ha'ara, but what it has, the noga's lashon or. But it's like a light that comes from rain. How does that work? Ella ara moetes. It's a very small shining. B'bechinas a din that has a little bit of din in it. Haba mematar. This din comes from rain. Dihu asim misetrel de Yitzchak, because this is the din. Yitzchak is a mighty man, but his dinim are different than the dinim of, say, his son Esav. His dinim are sweetened dinim. That matter comes, rain comes, it's like squozen out of the heavens, like it's squeezed out of the heavens. Hagavur shebocha mishorish Yitzchak, and it comes from Yitzchak. But so lomer kasher hasadim is chavrim ima gavuros, and this is the idea. Now, I just want to throw out this word. The word is rayo. It's actually spelled. That's how it's pronounced. It's resh yud vav. It's a gematria 216. It's a gematria also of gavura. But this rayo, You'll see it in many places. We get into the Rishash, you'll see it all over, but a lot of different places try to understand it. It means din, but it means sweetened din. And this is what we're looking for. Din is not something you can do without. The world is created in din. But it needs to be sweetened in. This is what one of the things that we would say, what do Kabbalists work on? Sweetening din. That's it. The Yitzchak, it comes from the side of Yitzchak, Shachamater ba mitzad midas agavura, sheba mishorish Yitzchak, which comes from the root of Yitzchak, where it's all lomar. Chasadim is chavra gavuras, and this is what we want to say, that the chasadim take on and they join into the gavuros and sweeten them. Lahamtikim, to sweeten them. Oz lokim mechem bechinas mu'etes, but the chasadim themselves get a certain very small amount that comes from Hamiz Ahamtaka, of the Ahamtaka. Now let me read this again. I might have got it wrong. Chasadim is chavrim in the gavuras. Now you're joining the chasadim, of course, which are chesed, the gavuras, which are din. Lahamtikim, in order to sweeten them. As looking mechem, so then they take from them bechina mu'etes b'shas hamamtaka. So therefore they take from them a certain amount at the time of this sweetening. Now, who's taking what? I didn't get that understanding exactly. Let's go on. The hatu matracha apik desha, because this kind of rain, it brings forth produce. It brings forth plant life. Ma'aretz, from Ma'aretz, ours is Malchus. She'osach ha'bamatim motzi desha min ha'aretz v'tzol ha'lomer ayedei shach ha'gavura, because the gavura, the zer anpin. Me'ira b'malchus, shines into Malchus. He motzias as malachi bia, she brings out, therefore, the malachim, which are the channels, the carriages, the vehicles, the energy source of the malachim, which are the malachim themselves, of Bia, which is Bria Yitzir and Asiya, of the lower worlds. Hamyuchasim le'esev v'desha, which could be related to plant life, the grass and to plant life. Here's one more thing. He says, Davar Acher Pirush, Acher al Apasa, here's another Pirush, Ubaor Boker, and when the morning light came, Pirusho, Kahaki Nehira de Boker de Avraham. It's really talking about that light that came from the Boker of Avraham, the morning of Avraham. Ka'osa ha'or shal chesed shal Avraham, this chesed of Avraham, shal chamisha chasadim, and we want to say what are they? They are 5 different chasadim, which are called the Chesed Gevurah, Tiferes, Netzach, and Hod. I was just thinking that all of them also are in the form of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. The Ima Shehem Zachim and Meirim, they are very clear and they shine. Ziyizrach Shemesh, the sun shines. Dohu Yaakov, Yaakov is the one who shines. Kain Mamish Yitzrach v'Yalhir Chesed Zer Anpin. So therefore, the Chesed that is inside of Zer Anpin, which is the first sphere of his body, Hanikra Yaakov, is called Yaakov. That Chesed, the Nihira delayed, the Nihira Dahaku Boker, Shor HaChesed Shalom, that Chesed, who Mamish K'or HaChesed Shal Ima. It's really like the chesed that is inside of Ima herself, and it never becomes more thick with dinim. The reason is because of what we have written. Boker lo avos. It's a morning without thickness. Shpirusho av is also another word for clouds. Begin dahaku boker lav ihu chashot elanohir, because in that moment of Boker, where the shining of the light of Avraham is coming out, it's not a time of darkness, but rather it's a time of light. Ki osach ha-chesed is Zer Anpin, because the chesed that comes from Zer Anpin, ein bocha b'shum b'chinas gevurah ha-nikras choshech ela meir. It's not an aspect of din, which would be like darkness, but instead this din shines. D'ha b'shanta da'asi boker, because at the time the morning comes. Lo shalta dina klal ela kula benachir misitra da'avraham, because in the morning when you first see that light coming up, if you could go out to the ocean and see that light coming up, that light is the light of is telling you that the morning, the shining and the chesed of Avraham is coming. Ki b'shah sheba haboker ein din shola klal. At that particular moment when the morning comes, Chesed rules, and there is no control of din at all. El hakol meir mitzad chesed, but everything shines from the side of Chesed shel Avraham. L'chein doime or ha-chesed is Zer Anpin, so there the chesed, which is inside of Zer Anpin, mamish is compared l'or ha-chesed, the ima like the chesed of ima from a different dimension, from a higher dimension, a more panimis dikadesh dimension. Ki ha-chesed afal pi shemis pashet lamata, that chesed, even though as it goes downward, elim mishtana ve'elim is avecha v'klal kamecha gavura, but it doesn't change. It doesn't change, it doesn't become more thick to be more and more like Gevurah. V'zeshakos boker lo avos, because the concept of boker, the boker of Avraham, it has no clouds to it. It isn't mixed up in any way with din. Pirush hachosadim enim is avim klal kamecha Gevuras, they never thicken up like Gevuros. But Amar Odin, he says more than that, minoga mimata. Dohu Sitra the Yosef Atzadik. Now let's see these words again. Minoga, from the shining, and the pasuk also said, and from rain. So even the sun shining or it's raining, which is it? And of course, if you live in Florida, you know that both two things can happen at the same time all the time. So it's like a Dohu Sitra the Yosef Atzadik. This is the side of Yosef Atzadik. Noga, who midas Yesod. So what is Noga? What is Noga? It's actually the word Noga. What's the meaning of Noga? This is the concept, Yesod that shines. Shabo Achos Yosef Atzadik, because also Yosef Atzadik is that symbol. Dihu Amter al Ara, that he is the one that reigns onto the earth. In other words, it's a connection between Zer Anpin, he is the Yesod, and the Nukva de Zer Anpin at the time of Yichud. Hamamter, he's the one that causes Mashpia ala Aretz, and caused the flow of bounty to come from onto the earth. Shiham Malchus was the earth is always Malchus, and what we're talking about is the Yesod of Yichud. Paka the Salim v'kol Tiva the Alma lahotze dasha, to bring out the herbal life, plant life, let everything flourish. V'kol hatova sheba'olam bia, ba'olamos bia, and all the good things that could be found in the lower worlds, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. That's the shir today. This is Baruch Fleischman at the Tikkun Elevator Kol. Have a wonderful Shabbos. All the best.